I'm here with my neighbor at Old Cobblestone, Barbara-Scovota, who happens to be a retired air flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
And we just been talking a lot this week about this Asiana flight to California from Hong Kong and Shanghai.
Shanghai. Mm-hmm. It's originated in Shanghai.
I was just I was interested in, because the flight attendants have been hailed as pretty much heroes on the fact that so many people were able to survive this after it happened. And I was kind of curious as to maybe what your experience is. You know that airplane, don't you? That 777.
I do know that airplane. I worked with Boeing in designing the inside of the aircraft for United. And then I did with the FAA, I did 2 months of airworthiness with it, with people from Boeing, FAA people on board, that we did different scenarios in different cities with anywhere from engine changes every time we stopped to, at one point out of Amsterdam, they told us to sit down and buckle up because this thing is going to the moon, and he shot it straight up in the air. It was like an instant facelift. But as far as the flight attendants go, we are taught once a year we go to training, of which we have a written book quiz, and then we're on a one-on-one with a instructor.
Uh-huh.
And in that one-on-one, he will give you a different scenario every time. If you don't know what it's going to be, it could be what we call a quick and dirty, or it could be called a planned. A planned is where you actually know what's going on, and he
Right.
gives you amount of time to prepare the cabin. A quick and dirty is what happened in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Your instincts have to react right away. After 40 years, I can still do this in my sleep. I can still
Really?
do the commands in my sleep. It's
Well,
just something that's dwelled in your head, and
I know that they probably had to be strapped in since
Yes.
it was on a landing
yes,
approach.
it was strapped in.
Yeah.
And flight attendants wear shoulder harnesses, which
Mhm.
passengers don't. But yes, the crew did a fantastic job.
Okay, so you went straight up to the moon, but did you ever land like that plane did?
No. Needless to say, no. I don't know what happened. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the pilot, they got on in Seoul, Korea.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an 12-hour flight.
Right.
They usually have to be at the airport an hour or two before departure. So it's a long day. Days like that, you sit down in the seat and you usually just say, "This day's over."
Yeah.
You take a breath. The pilots, they have 4 people up there because they're constantly taking breaks
Right.
to make sure that they're well rested. I don't know if it's just inexperience on the pilot. He had a professional with him, somebody that should have known. If they just let the airplane slip away from them
Yeah.
and took too much of a dive, and before they realized what happened, they couldn't pull it up.
Yeah. Well, I keep hearing stories about some of these flight attendants who were just little bitty women pulling some of these and carrying on their backs some of these great big passengers.
Mhm.
How do you do that?
Well, when you got a burning airplane and the drilling starts flowing, you can do just about anything. You've heard of people picking up cars when the drilling starts like that. It's just, like I said, you do what you have to do.
Yeah. So you train and you prepare for something that you hope never happens.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Like they had an airplane full of smoke. You go through and you tell people, put the seatbelt low and tight. People don't listen to you. They do it for a reason. It's not to make you uncomfortable. But the people that got hurt, some of them were crushed in the stomach and in the chest right through there. That's because that seatbelt wasn't low and tight.
Mm.
I know it's uncomfortable, but it only takes a few minutes to do it. Just for 5 minutes on takeoff, not even 5.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes for landing.
Just do it right.
Right, and make sure you count your exits where you are.
Mm.
Where you're sitting.
That's the point that has been made, that it's going to be dark,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't see necessarily, and you kind of need to know where you are in relation to exits
Right.
and slides and what have you.
And that way you can sort of, as you're going, if you're crawling up the front to an exit, you sort of count the rows of where you're going and which direction. On that airplane, half the slides weren't open on one side of the aircraft, because they have to assess conditions. You can't open a door if there's fire out there, or if you're in water sinking or whatever.
Yeah.
But no.
So you've been retired now as a flight attendant for a few years.
Yeah.
Do you miss
4 years.
Do you miss it?
I do miss it. I miss going to the places. I miss a lot of the people. We had some wonderful passengers. We had some that weren't so nice, but most of them were very nice, and very understanding. And, you have a bad day or whatever, and you get on, you say, look, I didn't do anything to you. Let me just walk away. Let's come back and start this. We're fixing to spend 14 hours together.
Well, I think the bottom line is that what a lot of people may have realized, because, number one, this is the first time that this particular plane has crashed.
Right.
The 777s have a perfect history.
Yes, they do.
As far as safety goes. So this is quite an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
But people should remember that flight attendants are not there just to bring you coffee. They are there to save your life.
You're right.
If it comes down to it.
That's it. We are there to save your lives. And all we ask is you do a few simple things that we ask you to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for the advice.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being part of Gary's world.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Gary. It's always charming to have you with me.
Oh, thank you. All right, that's going to work. I can pull a lot out of that.